On Earth, there are ecosystems that are different to each other but are full of splendor of nature. This splendor, born in forests, mountain ranges, rivers, canals, shores, oceans and coral reefs, is a gift inherits only to the Earth.
It is a matter for concern to witness gradual degradation of the beauty provided by nature to us due to human activities. Irregular disposal of plastics and polythene after use by global population has been identified as a major threat to the survival of nature.
Plastics and polythene that came to be used since 1950 as a secondary outcome of production of fuel is manufactured using a chemical polymerization. An escalation in the use of plastics and polythene is witnessed after the 90s decade as the plastic products in the world are profitable. The annual production of plastics and polythene throughout the world exceeds 270 million metric tons. It is estimated that 88% of this amount remains on Earth, despite the balance 12% being recycled. But actually it is true that only 2% of plastics and polythene is being recycled.
The practice of improper disposal of plastics and polythene after use has created many problems in the world. Almost in every country, disposed plastics and polythene form waste mountains. Rivers and waterways are filled with these debris. In addition, microplastic particles have created a severe problem.
The amount of plastics and polythene that is released annually to the ocean is 8 million metric tons. There are 5 major ocean gyres. The North and South Pacific subtropical gyres are the biggest among them. They are the North and South Atlantic subtropical gyres and the Indian Ocean subtropical gyre. Multiple factors such as currents, winds and planetary rotation contribute to predictable movements of ocean pollution, which culminate in a central concentration of debris. These focal points are known as gyres.
In August, several countries and organizations joining together held a conference focusing on the importance of taking action regionally on the conservation of nature from being destroyed by the current pattern of usage of plastics and polythene, and on the matters pertaining to the minimizing of the usage of plastic and polythene.
The Centre for Environmental Justice represented Sri Lanka at the conference. The Bangladesh Environmental Lawyers Association, the Sahabat Alam of Malaysia, the Friends of the Earth Australia, and the ProPublic of Nepal are the other organizations that represented their countries. The Friends of the Earth Asia Pacific Organization was present at the conference representing the Asia Pacific region.
One of the principal issues that both the developed and developing countries face today alike are problems created by the use of plastic used only once. The amount of shopping bags produced and issued daily for use is 2 million. 15 million lunch sheets are utilized per day. In addition, 45 million yogurt cups add to our environment. Particularly in Sri Lanka, in 2007, a prohibition of the use of polythene and plastics less than 20 micron in thickness came into effect. In 2017, the ban on burning of plastics in Sri Lanka was imposed. A request was made to the public to refrain from using polythene during festivals and general functions such as election campaigns. A ban on usage of Regiform boxes or multi-sharing boxes was introduced by law. But unfortunately, this law did not come into effect in Sri Lanka.
The World Bank on one occasion highlighted that Sri Lanka is in the 5th place among the countries which release their plastic and polythene waste to the ocean. PVC water pipes, plastic used in electronic accessories, plastic tables and chairs, basins, barrels, water tanks, and toys are among other things that are disposed of after long use. They are used only once plastic items. Plastic bottles, lunch sheets, polythene bags, yogurt cups, packets, face masks, biscuits packaging, and many other things belong to this category. An individual uses a polysac for only 12 minutes, but it takes 1,000 years to degrade. Research have confirmed that it takes from 1,000 years to 5,000 years for polythene and plastics to degrade depending on its thickness.
The government has decided to ban the production of several items as a first step to minimize the damage caused by the polythene and plastic products. Cotton buds and sachet packs, less than 20 grams puffed up plastic toys, plastic bottles for toilet cleaning liquid are included in the banned items. It has been made compulsory to indicate digit 1 to 7 on plastic bottles. It is your social and environmental obligation to refrain from using plastic items made only for once use. At the same time, it is the government's duty to minimize the use of such plastic items through legal measures. Plastics and polythene manufacturers also have a responsibility to recollect the plastic and polythene they produce and recycle them.
All plastic that was added to this planet since 1950 remains somewhere in the environment in various forms. However, the plastic we dispose of will mix with soil or water and enter the sea. By now, there are 5 major ocean gyres. You may recall that in March, a huge amount of waste washed ashore. They all are visible plastic, but there's also invisible plastic in the form of microplastic or further tiny nanoplastic. Now particles have begun entering our body, posing a major health threat to us. Accordingly, we have identified that plastic used once only is not an essential item to us. Let's take an example. Straw that we use to drink beverages is used only for a few minutes. We are of the view that it does not cause environmental pollution and throw it away improperly. But daily or monthly, more and more fresh straws reach the market in quantity of tons as a whole. They are distributed and we are not aware of their destiny.
The amount of annual plastic and polythene usage in Sri Lanka is about 1.2 million metric tons. 900,000 metric tons out of that amount end up in garbage mountains. This is an indication that only 100,000 metric tons are diverted for reproduction. 33,000 metric tons of plastic waste float along rivers and concentrate along the seashores. Some plastic waste also accumulates in associated areas of river mouths and lagoons. The dumping of polythene and plastic on seashores is widespread. Out of these, 150,000 metric tons of plastic and polythene waste enters the ocean.
The blockade installed at the point where the Dehiwala Canal enters the sea to prevent the carrying of human-generated plastic waste to the sea is of great importance. The uniqueness of this point is the removal of daily accumulation of plastic and polythene waste at this center for recycling. Introduction of this system to other core points of waterways will help to prevent the entering of plastic waste to the sea.
Almost all the local bodies are engaged in the recycling of accumulated plastics and polythene waste. The collecting centers of plastic and polythene waste play an important role. You can also contribute to this program immensely in order to maintain a clean environment by handing over your plastic and polythene waste to one of these centers.
There are few plants in our country that reproduce plastic and polythene. The Plygen Poly Recycling Company is one that is engaged in this business. This company manufactures pellets after using and cleaning the plastic and polythene waste they receive. They reproduce polythene and polythene bags and other products out of these pellets.
Several Gazette notifications had already been issued in September 2017, particularly under the Clause 23W of the number 47 of 1980 National Environment Act or Principal Act in Sri Lanka to manage the environment in the country. Out of these Gazette notifications, 6 Gazettes were issued on the same day itself. Under these Gazette notifications, the manufacture, circulation, use and distribution free of charge of various polythene products have been prohibited. However, there is one exception under the Gazette notification. Provisions have been made to allow, if the necessity arises, to use it for the production and wrapping up of medicine. There is no formal system for the disposal of these items. When this waste is added to the environment, it remains for a long period of time, causing great pressure on human beings. I am of the view we must focus on these issues seriously.
When plastic and polythene waste reaches the sea, it breaks into tiny pieces due to friction. Later, further disintegration will take place, and these are known as microplastics. It is a common phenomenon that fish and marine wildlife consume microplastics. Later, this fish will become a part of food, leading to a formation of a microplastics food chain.
This has been scientifically proven after examining the stomachs of animals that died in the vicinity of the shores in the world. A large number of organisms in the globe lose their lives due to the consumption of microplastics, and human beings also subject to a massive detrimental impact as a result.
People are always exposed to microplastic in the environment. This microplastic can enter our body through the skin, respiratory system or mouth. For example, microplastic contained in food may go into the body through the mouth. When we breathe, microplastic enters the body as it mixes in the atmosphere. Since microplastic contains in various skin products that may cause the entry point of microplastic into the body. The scientific community ceaselessly focuses on health issues, particularly the ones associated with microplastic. Research have proved there is an increased risk of man's exposure to cancer due to microplastic entering the body. Further, there is a tendency of infecting ailments as a result of the impact on the immune system. Microplastic can also cause an increased impact on the nervous system.
A large number of environment-friendly products in lieu of polythene and plastic products are now available in Sri Lanka. Products made of cane, matalu from coconut trees, kolapat from areca trees, timber toys, mats, ropes, bags made of weaving reeds and clay products are available in the market. You can be a conservator and a contributor for the protection of nature as well if you're inclined to buy and use these products.
The conservation of priceless ecosystems gifted to us by nature is not only our paramount duty, but also a responsibility we have to bear today to help for survival and the well-being of future generations.